Domestic violence, assault incidents were minor. The big number of incidents were property crime. The big number of incidents were housing of alcohol-related people in the community. I know that I've talked to members of this community and members of the RCMP and other communities, and a lot of them have said in northern Manitoba, you know, we go through this rigorous training in Regina to become RCMP officers, and when we get up here, we're babysitting drunks all throughout our shifts, and we didn't really sign up for that. One of the things that I wanted to ask this evening is to our MLA, Amanda Laughlin, and that is when it comes to these crimes that the RCMP detachments are dealing with, it's taking up a lot of their time on their shifts. It's taking up a lot of their paperwork. Knowing a little bit about alcoholism firsthand, and I won't get into the basics of that, I will tell you one thing that I know for sure. When it comes to the town of The Pas, we don't have proper treatment facilities in this community. We have Rosaire House, which realistically is a dry-out center. It's more or less a vacation spot for an alcoholic to go and sort of get the quivers taken away from him and then get back out into the streets. When it comes to the Addictions Foundation of Manitoba, we have 2 liaison workers in an office here. We don't have an AFM treatment center. The Rosaire House is not under the branch of the Addictions Foundation of Manitoba. It originally was started as a private organization. The Alcoholics Anonymous group in the town of The Pas is a very minimal group, and that's because when you go into the Rosaire House, you're not really directed in a proper fashion on how to treat yourself. There is no homes for recovering alcoholics to go and live in. No safe housing centers where somebody that is an alcoholic that comes off the street can go and live in this house with other recovering alcoholics. And I think my question to you, Ms. Laughlin, would be where do you stand on this type of a matter? Because when the police officers are dealing with drunks lying on the streets all day long, there's no time to deal with these people that have their homes and cars broken into. There's no time to deal with people that have their dogs slashed open. And we need to find a way to address this type of a situation. And I want to know not only what are you prepared to do for us, but how can we address our provincial government, because I know that the town of The Pas is not the answer to those problems. We don't have as a town the funding for that. So how do we as a group of people come to our province and say, this community, when we hear from our staff sergeant as being known as one of the worst small communities in the province, how do we come together and say, we need our provincial government to come and help us?
That's a very good concern that you had brought up. I too, I live here in the town of The Pas, local taxpayer as well, and you're right, we do lack those services. That's why we have a large community of our homeless people in our neighborhood. If we did have those resources, those who want to get help would get help. My aunt is part of that community, and I like to address that. They're a community of people. I just find that some folks refer them as their rodents, you know, like they're rodents, shoo them away. They're real people who need help, who've probably had not much good luck, you know, in their lives, and that's why they ended up here. I know every single one of them have a different story. My aunt has a different story. And one day I asked my aunt, you know, what is it? How, you and your friends, tell me a day in your life, you know, plus 30, minus 30. And she basically said that the homeless shelter is open, currently right now it's open from 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. So they have those few hours of a meal and shelter over their heads. 7 a.m., doors shut. So now, as a group, a community of people, they have to, they band together for survival, just for talking, and they ask, like, how was your night? You know, how are you going to spend your day? And they sit, if they're lucky enough to have a toonie on them, they can be allowed into McDonald's and grab a cup of coffee. If not, they sit on the town bench, if I see, and get shade or shelter. So basically, the whole day is wandering, just even cutting through the mall for those few seconds of warmth or even air conditioning, standing in a bank, standing in the post office area. It's survival every day, every day. And I know for a fact that the Manitoba Liquor Commission staff, they monitor our community of people. They know them by name, and if my aunt goes in there, sorry, you already been in here, you got to go, because they're trying to control that they don't overconsume, and perhaps, hurt themselves. So that's a day in the life of them, and imagine if you went for a ride along, go spend a day with with my aunt and her friends. It's just a basic every day of survival. So I always feel that that's how they should be served, with respect. And you're right, we are lacking those services. That's why we have a large community. And also too, with the justice system busy pushing paper, we also have restorative justice committees, which reduce pushing paper. Instead of going back and forth and in jail and court, they have these committees. It's like a sharing circle, and it's they start with the victim, and then they start with the victimizer, and eventually we come together in that circle. So, and there's also initiatives for healing for both sides, therapy, and whatever is agreed upon. So just simple human interaction like that for healing can reduce in and out of the court systems. And that's what OCN is trying for. I'm sure Town of the Paw would like to take a look at this system. And that's all it is. It's just human interaction, not paper. You broke your probation, jail. Well, no, how about let's sit together and discuss this. So that's an option to look at from human, just from just basic human interaction. And also too, I just find that as I'm listening, a lot of our victimizers you're referring to are youth, right? My daughter was assaulted by a fellow youth, and Manitoba Justice does offer victim services, and because we live in town, the assault happened in my home, OCN. Now she's terrified to go across, and this is where we come from. That's where my blood comes from, Opaskwa Cree Nation and the Paw. And victim services have provided excellent services to myself and my daughter. But guess what? I was really concerned about the victimizer, the young girl. I know for a fact that she's been in and out of foster homes all her life. No wonder, no structure, no sense of family, no sense of, what's good, what's bad, what's wrong. I mean, what's right, what's wrong. And I was saying, you make sure this young girl gets therapy. You make sure she gets counseling. Like, I'm so concerned about her. Like, I was even afraid to charge her because I thought that would send her spiraling down even more because I felt sorry for this kid. But after talking to an RCMP officer, I said, okay, I'm going to press charges because this is probably the only way this kid who's under CFS, who's going to receive additional counseling. So I know for a fact that this young lady is going through anger management and several other healing therapy for this young child. I was, like, no offense to my daughter, but I was, more concerned about this child, and I kept on repeating myself to the victim service people, you make sure this child gets help. So, and there was also counseling offered for my daughter as well. And speaking of youth, the province does, through child and youth opportunities, through Lighthouse facilities funding, I believe I was chair for the PAW Action Center for a couple of years, which provides activities for youth and, you know, at the Kelsey Estates, you know, and they're kind of deemed as high-risk neighborhoods. And it was great to see this funding and see kids from all ages come in, and we have a coordinator there who would take them to the sweatshop boxing, take them to the lake, take them camping, the movies, any activities, you know, just to keep them busy and basically keep them off the street. And I even had a mother in our community who brought in her son to come and volunteer in our campaign. And at the end of the month, she said, thanks for providing this opportunity. And that's where I got that, you know, thanks for keeping my kid off the street. You know, so it's just providing healthy activities, you know, like what the Paw Action Center does. You know, try our best to capture them when they're young and make them feel that they're worth, you know, and instead of stereotyping that, you know, they're the ones to blame for, you know, I'm not saying like trying to label everyone, but I think that's where we got to start is with our youth. And yes, I do agree with about parents as well and getting involved. And I do like the idea of citizen patrol. Is that what it is? So that's what I like to share with as being a resident from the town of the Paw as well. Thank you.
Can I just ask one question? Why isn't Oscar's Place used as a drop-in center for the street kids?
Pardon me?
Why can't Oscar's Place be used as a drop-in center for those folks?
Lack of funding. Lack of funding. I'm currently working with the executive director to try to get a plan in place to have, because it used to be open 24 hours. Yeah. But internal situation had happened which really severely affected their funding. And we're trying to look at ways to get that respect back, to have a good to have a better audit, if you will, you know, and to get that respect back and that funding back so it can be open 24 hours. So these community of people don't have to worry, where am I going to spend the next 14 hours, minus 30, minus, you know, yeah, it's, so yeah, with my MLA's report, I'd like to share, hopefully soon, some good news about that. And it's going to take a while, but I'm optimistic that we will provide that needed service for these community of people.
Okay, I'm Laurel, and I'm a youth officer in the Paw. And this year, all my funding was cut from the present government, the Conservative government, for youth from 10 to 15 years old. That was my biggest group of the kids that I worked with, and that is helping them with their hockey funds, helping them with any registration to swimming and that, because not all families in this town work at Tolko. And a lot of the social assistant families, they have lots of children. They'd love to be involved too in all these different programs, but they can't. That's where the trouble starts. And they go out, and there is no money for them to do anything, and you can't blame the parents. The parents, yeah, they think they're at home. Yeah, no, they're not. And they're not going to be. And that is a lot of the problem. And one of the things that I said, the RCMP are too busy, far too busy with the amount of crimes and things that go on here in the Paw and outside in the communities to be spending time on children that aren't at home. And that's part of the parents' fault, and not all their fault either, because kids, youth have their own ideas these days. It's not how we were. And one of the ideas I had, you know, there is no discipline, like they said, for the youth when they go to court. That's, you know what, it's a waste of time. For some will learn, some won't. They have this house arrest That's a literal joke. Same with the fine option. Oh, I don't feel like working there. They don't have to. I see it every day. But
I
one of
want
the-
to interrupt for a moment because I can't get this thought out of my head. If this is a 15-year-old kid who didn't grow up with a silver spoon in their mouth and doesn't have a lot of money to do things, at 15 years old, you're able to make a conscious decision to reach into someone's vehicle who is not yours and take their leather jacket and put it on your back and go brag about the new leather jacket you got. Like, that's one of the problems. You can say it's funding, you can say it's this, but a 15-year-old has the ability to make a conscious decision what is right and what is wrong. And they don't care.
They don't.
They don't give a hoot.
And when they do that, Jim, there's nothing at the end of that. There's no discipline at the end of that. And that's what they're lacking. You know, I had an idea, and that was, we have the best resources in Canada. We have soldiers that come back from war, come back from them. Not all of them are able to do programming with our youth. But you know what? It's part of a solution. You hear boot camps and that. Maybe these children, when they're getting in trouble at 10, 12 years old, have no choice but to go to that boot camp, and when they're ready to come out of there, maybe they'll make a man out of them.
You're looking to change
Because-
legislation federally to do that.
Well, something needs
I
to
agree.
be done, Jim.
I agree, but I mean, this is not going to get fixed overnight.
It's not.
No, we're told we're going to cut back this program, and then they'll tax you on here, they'll tax you on there. Your taxes go up and up and up and up and up, and services are being cut, and
I know.
And then
I'm the
we're
result
supposed
of
to
it.
somehow say, "Hey, kid, you're 15. You know right from wrong."
He goes to court, Jim, and he gets away with it.
If I may say something, and I've been waiting patiently too, but one of the problems I see here is look at the frustration we as a community are having. I can't even begin to imagine what the RCMP goes through every day and the frustration they're having too. So if you're feeling like any picked at and stuff, all I want to say is thank God we have you guys in our community. I'm sure as heck happy to have you here. And the other thing I wanted to hear is I didn't get the opportunity, or Amanda didn't get the opportunity to answer your question, and I'd like to hear your answer to that.
My question again, Amanda, what do we as a community do? We address you as an MLA, and we say we don't have proper facilities to treat the people. Oscar's Place is not a proper facility for treating the people. It's a place to stay warm. It's a place where they can sleep at night and then back out in the next day. They're on the corners. They're panhandling. They're not getting proper treatment for the illness that they're suffering. So as a community, we can't go to the town of the Paw and say, help us build a treatment center. We can't say we need money for this. So how do we as a group in a community make a statement to our provincial government when it's not happening?
Well, this is definitely the right place to start as a community. A committee can be formed with stakeholders from from what the organizations like for addictions. We can form a community with all sorts of community members who are interested, and then go towards work with the regional health authority as well and address these issues. I think that would be the best way as a community to create a committee with the stakeholders that need to be involved and heard. And like I said, we can approach the regional health authority with our concerns, and as your MLA, it'd be my job to ensure that these concerns and issues are heard and not ignored and addressed. So this is the best place to start right now, is right here. Yeah.
Good evening. My name is Ron Ranville. I work for OCN Child and Family Services. I'm the director there, and I know the frustrations as well with everyone in this room. I get the same kind of problems, same issues. I think one of the biggest problems we have in OCN is dealing with mental health issues. For us to access that service, guess where those kids have to come? You have to come across this river, into this side of the river, to access that service. Otherwise, forget about it. That's one of the issues. I believe in child welfare, about $500 million spent in child welfare. Can you imagine some of that money coming here? Talk about a treatment center. 2 years ago, I spoke about a family program at the North-South meeting. And I want that located here up in the north. It doesn't have to be near the Paw. It could be at Watchie Bay. It could be at Egg Lake, for that matter. Cranberry, for that matter. I don't care. As long as it's in the north. I would like to see families come together to this program. And not just go through a 30-day, 28-day program. I would like to see them come through a 7-week program with aftercare programs. They have NADAP workers on the reserves. They're funded for that. Train those people. I also like to see a mental health facility here. Not just where people can actually go there and live there and be able to deal with that mental illness. Start to live independently. I see a lot of grandparents taking care of these young ones. They're getting older. And who's going to look after those kids with mental health issues? Education's another one. I'll be the first to admit that we haven't done very good at trying to educate those kids that come into care. That's a big problem. We're starting to look at it and strategize for how do we make these kids more successful. You know, I have the same dreams and hopes for those kids on the reserve as the people in town. I like to see our kids and the kids from town, you know, sharing the ice together, or baseball diamond and whatnot. But I think we're going to be having our annual general meeting in September. And what I'm looking at is stats. I was looking at their stats, listen to his stats. We get 1,500 calls a year too, after hours. We went through the same issues in OCN, talking about the problems we have there. And when they were mentioning child and family, I quickly went to get those stats. And it's the same 3 kids. But it's made to be a bigger problem than it really is. It's 3 kids that are doing all this damage. That's where those kids are now. They're in our care. And I haven't heard a peep out of those kids since that bridge incident about 6 weeks ago. I spoke with 2 of them this past week. Different frame of mind. All they need is some direction, supervision. And I want our foster parents to be trained in this area as well. And I would like you to invite Carrie Irvin Ross up here. Come meet the people of the PAW and OCN. Come and listen to these struggles we have here. Thanks.
I'm going to go back to the beginning. And when we started this, we said, when you got a problem, phone 911. Has anybody at the head table phoned 911?
Oh, I have many times.
Have you? Okay, there's a problem here. Phone 911. What response are you going to get when you phone there?
I got to give my name, my birth date. I got to give my address.
Your address. What's the address here? Do you know it?
No,
You can say the Legion. They'll say, I need an address.
I know.
We were at the arena. A guy was laying on the ice for 30 minutes. Nobody knew the address of the arena. We knew where it was. We said, we're in the PAW, the Roy H. Johnson Arena.
That,
And it's a total waste of time. You get frustrated. You feel like grabbing the phone and ripping it right out. Because they don't want to talk to you unless you got everything and your birthday. That's really important.
it,
That's enough. I'm going to leave. I'll keep it on an even note, even
Okay.
though I told the
it's never
sergeant.
it's
that
never
was-
a bad thing to call 911. I don't think.
Well, it is when you are in an emergency. Because they don't want to respond to you unless you've got everything lined up.
It is a bit odd, I know. When I call now, I just say, hey, my name is Jim Scott. I was born July 6, 1985. This is my street address. Here's the problem.
If you're not at home, it doesn't matter about your street address, does it? I was in Thompson. I saw a guy down. I phoned there. The RCMP officer that showed up was giving me heck because I didn't phone the local office. I told him I didn't have a phone book, and you know where I told him where I
I know. You know, and maybe it's wrong for me to say forget the other numbers, call 911, but for me, that's the easiest number to remember.
The system doesn't work. That's what I'm trying to get across.
I know. I hear you. Jeremy, why won't you answer those phone calls? Gee.
I can provide a comment. The person that is taking the information from you is not the same person that dispatches the police. While they're getting the information from you, they've already typed and sent the initial call, and they've already dispatched the police, but they're trying to get more information, that's all.
When you get a phone call or a person answering a phone and don't have a clue where the paw is, you really wonder what they know.
It's okay. Hello, Edith.
Hello. I'd like to know, Edith Lissan, I'd like to know from council, I assume that mayor and council have met and discussed the issues that have resulted in this meeting being called for this evening. And what I'd like to know is what the council identifies as being the main issues, and if you have already thought of some ideas and some solutions for them that you can share with us now.
Sure. So one of the things that we as a council believe that we need is we need more police officers. But again, we pay $2.8 million a year for policing services. So it's pretty hard to go to you as a ratepayer and say, yeah, we're going to up your taxes and going to hire some more RCMP folks. But that's what we think we need, because we think that our folks that work here at the RCMP are so busy dealing with alcoholic issues that it's really hard for them to do their job. We heard stats tonight where they've got, they're just dealing with thousands and thousands of issues. And so, and priorities and all of that. So we need to find a way as a council to provide some leadership in the community to find a way to make some of these other things happen. And we think that the province needs to pony up. We don't think they pay their fair share when it comes to child and family services. We don't think they pay their fair share in providing the services that Mark was talking about in terms of becoming clean and sober and a person who wants to help your community grow. So we want the province to realize this, and we want them to pay more money towards these services so that they can be provided. If there's less of an alcohol issue on the street, then there's more time to do other things. That maybe that gnome in the back lot is more important now. And so that's what we want. We want, and we believe the only way we can prove that is through data. And so when I say call the police, not every now and then, but every single time, it's that important. Because it's based on statistics. They may not get to your gnome in the backyard today or tomorrow, but they've noted that you've called, and this is your issue. And so call every single time. I do not want to hear from anybody anymore about how this little so-and-so reached into their car and took their black leather jacket out of their car. People, lock your vehicles and take things out of sight. That's not new. That's not new. How a fairly new truck with OnStar could be stolen out of someone's driveway, it's almost impossible without a key. And that's all I'm going to say about that. So, you need to take responsibility for a bunch of things, sure. Can't leave quarters and dimes and nickels and loonies and toonies laying around your car. Can't leave but let's at least find a way to give these guys, these people, more opportunity to do the job that they're hired to do. Because I mean, what I saw that night, one night only, it was a Friday night, and it was just getting people. I mean, there was someone passed out on someone's living room floor. They didn't even live there. Didn't even know where they were. You need to go to jail. You need to go to jail. And so if you're going to jail, well, that's going to take a couple hours worth of paperwork and all this other. And where are we? We're not out in the street. So that's what our ultimate goal is to get government to pony up, to pay what they say they provide. No offense, but you don't. Okay, we gotta bring this
Hi.
to an end at some point. So
Okay, no, I just have a quick comment
Yeah.
actually about calling the police. It's a super big pain in the butt to call the cops. It is. Whether we're calling 911 because there's a drunk in the RBC teller, or because I woke up in the morning and my car was broken into. My car's already broken into. I have no idea who it is. We don't have a trail cam. Like maybe there should be a detachment hotline or something that we can just call and be like, hey, this is what happened. Because your numbers are low. 21 break-ins in a car, like you said, that probably happens over the weekend. So chances are majority of the people have the same mindset that I have in being, hey, my car's already broken into, damage is done, it is what it is. Windows aren't broken, my coffee money's gone. What are they going to do? But they still need to know, right? So maybe without it being, hey, what's your name, what's your birthday, where do you live, what's your problem? Press 1 if your vehicle's been broken into, and you leave a message. Hey, I'm Jennifer Tulia, I live such and such, and my car was broken into. No major damage, but just so you have it on record. Just an idea.
okay. Okay.
I have a solution, not a gripe.
Hallelujah.
All right. I'm Dave Brower. I'm the new chaplain at the local correction center, also a pastor of a local church and part of the ministerial. Anyway, and I'm tall. But for Amanda and and Mark, is everybody aware, or is anybody aware of where the treatment programs are that are more successful in the province? Anybody have an idea? There's, yeah. How about St. Norbert, the one that's near St. Norbert? They have everything that the gentleman from Child and Family Services, OCN, talked about. They have a program. Can we get something like that up here? And when people talk about, oh, they're going to developing something in Thompson as a representative for the PAW and our area, maybe we can just say that's northeastern Manitoba. We are northwestern Manitoba. And like he suggested about Egg Lake or somewhere else, where you can include the PAW, Flin Flon. But there are some effective programs. There's one in Selkirk. There's that one in St. Norbert, just south of Winnipeg. There's Teen Challenges in Winnipeg, one for ladies in Brandon, one at the Near Beach. But there are programs that are working, but we don't have it here, as Mark pointed out. And I think we could get it here if we worked on it.
With that, while we're sitting here, I'm just putting it out there to whoever's interested to work with me to get this committee going, to get this case file going. I'm more than willing to meet with people who are willing to do this and get this case file to the Minister of Health's office, because that's who we communicate all the time. Our constituency assistant, Amy Jackson, works hard to make sure that whoever calls our office when they have issues about program services or lack of services, we work with them. So I'm putting it out there as your MLA for the PAW. Please work with me. Whoever's interested in getting this committee going, instead of talking about it, let's get a group of people going, stats going, a nice proposal going, and we can get it to the Minister of Health's office. And that's the only way change can happen, if we work together rather than just talking about it and just wishing somebody else will do it. So I'm putting it out there as your MLA for the PAW. We're located at 1416 Gordon Avenue, the Union Building. Our CA's there pretty much most of the time. Most of my meetings take place having coffee with Jim at the Kikiwak or with or at somebody's home or a restaurant. I'm not usually in the office because I'm out and about in the communities, but our CA is there. So please contact us and let's get this initiative started because it is very important. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, if I could, just one other solution, and although I really love hearing you consider more police officers in the PAW, I can mention a more cost-effective way of getting the police officers you currently have in the PAW back on the road is by adding additional support staff to our team that could handle more of the administrative tasks that our officers are tasked with every call. It would be a lot more cost-effective that way, I think. Just something to consider.
Okay, sure. I think we hire more people. That's it's money. It's always money. I can promise you that. At the end of the day, it's going to be about money. So before we go and hire more people, we got to see how we can afford to do that. Because I think, unless I'm wrong, people are thinking their taxes are pretty much maxed out. I could be wrong, but you know.
Isn't hiring more people for the RCMP a federal dollar, not a town thing?
No, it's a town thing. We have town employees that work at the RCMP that handle phones and do the administrative work. Yeah. And they don't work for $10.50 an hour. So, if I can, I'll take away from this meeting an opportunity to sit down with Amanda and see if we can't get some interest out of the halls of the legislature to come up here and have some meetings with us in ways that we can move forward. We'll try and get some people more into the RCMP office, but I'm not going to fib. I don't see that happening anytime soon. It's really expensive. Really, really expensive. So, you know, we'll see if we can get going on this side of it. They got to go get votes in April, and so they know that's not free. So who knows, maybe we can pick their pocket a little bit between now and April. So we do, yeah. Okay, so if there's nothing else, it's almost 9 o'clock. I want to thank everyone for coming out and appreciate your concerns and phone the police. Thank you.
Take care. I sort of got cut off there. What, did you want some information on the program? Oh, good.